everyone.
Hey, hey, and welcome to After Hours here at Linda's.
We have a fun project to share with you tonight. Super easy to do.
Yes.
Like whether it's a long arm or a sewing machine, you can knock this project out pretty fast.
Yeah, you don't have to do any really piecing
No.
if you don't want to.
Yeah.
You can do it directly on your machine, like you said. Before we get started, always make sure you're subscribed to our channel or liking our page wherever you are watching this video. If you're watching us on YouTube, there is that subscribe button right down at that bottom right-hand corner. Be sure you click on that so you can stay notified with everything going on here at Linda's.
Yes.
So tonight we're going to be talking about cuddle kits. These are so much fun, and they are, no pun intended, so cuddly in order to have them. And
Super
most
soft.
of them, yeah, and super
Oh my
duper
goodness,
soft.
yeah.
So before we get started on the actual kit, let's talk about what Cuddle is.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, a Cuddle is from Shannon Fabrics.
Yes.
It's kind of what you think minky in the broad scheme of things. It is minky basically.
It's minky.
But
I think it's a little bit of a higher quality minky.
Yeah, it's definitely from our experience
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the different minkies that we've tried. It definitely is a higher quality. We love the Shannon Cuddle.
Yeah.
And so it's so soft. I mean, I don't know how many of these I have at my house.
She's got too many. Can you actually ever have too many? No, you
No,
can't.
I don't think
You
so.
can't.
I
No,
don't think
not
so.
at all.
So for the most part, it's a minky, but it's just a higher quality minky, and it's called Cuddle because it's that's Shannon's name for it.
For sure. So this is some of the kits. They come in a lot of different ranges. We'll put them from kind of smallest to largest.
From the ones that we carry
The ones
right
that we
now.
carry on it, yeah, that we have right now. So ours come in 3 different sizes right now that we carry. So, and they come from having kind of everything you need to, they kind of step up what else you would need that they're including in the kit.
Exactly. So for the most part, I mean, they have their Wii kit, which I think this is the one right here, the Wii one.
Yes.
And this one's going to be a 27 by 27. They've got different designs, different color cuddle in them. This is just the one that we're doing today. This one actually has the backing in it already.
Correct, yeah. So the Wii ones, these little small 27 by 27 ones are going to have the complete kit that you're going to need.
Exactly.
Backing, binding, and top fabric included, which is absolutely wonderful.
And the pattern.
And it's going to have a pattern in there and then a bunch of different care instructions, seam allowances, all sorts of different things like that.
Really everything you need just in one little kit.
Right.
All right.
The next one up that we have, this one's called Nailed It, and it comes in a couple of different patterns as well. And this one is 28 by 37.
Just a little bit bigger.
Yes. And this one is going to be the complete kit as well. You're going to have the top fabric, the backing, the binding, and the pattern that you're going to need, along with all of those amazing care instructions.
Nice.
And then last but not least, these are those large ones. These are the ones that Mom loves.
Yeah, I have a couple of them at the house. And even in the summertime, I just kind of cuddle with them at night watching TV still.
Just a few. This one's called Home of the Brave, and this is a 58 by 68 one.
Which is a good lap size.
It's a really good size. And it's going to have enough fabric for the top and the binding, and then it has the pattern. They give you suggested backing fabrics on here. Suggested backing yardage for these is going to be 2 yards of the 90-inch wide.
Which we do carry all the colors for the most part on our website, or
Correct.
close to them.
Yeah, and that's one
we
thing.
try to have almost all of them.
And that's one thing that we haven't mentioned yet. These cuddle kits are available on our website, lindas.com. So be sure to hop over there and grab one during, after, before this video.
Exactly.
So let's open up the Wii one since that's the one that we're going to be working on today.
Okay.
Crack this open. And the first thing that we're going to notice right here is the backing fabric. It's going to be right here. Look at the little sheeps. They're so
I know,
cute.
they're so cute.
Little
I thought this was
babies.
a cute one to do.
And then you've got this faux fur one that they've got.
And these are all the pieces. So
And
they
these are
already
all-
got them cut for you.
Tiny little pre-cut pieces here. And then you've got binding options. There's all sorts of different things in here. My goodness, it just keeps going. And those are going to be more of the pre-cut strips that they don't have already rolled up.
Correct.
So there's more in here that aren't already rolled up. Also in here, you're going to get a picture of the pattern that is on the back of the page. You're going to get those actual cutting instructions as well. If you want to follow that exact pattern, you don't have to. You're going to learn more about Cuddle basics. There's going to be different things, how to wash it, what best tools, how the best way to cut it is if you want to cut it up.
They definitely give you a lot of tips
They
on
give
what
you
to do, how to wash it, what to do,
lot.
everything. So yeah.
A lot of different tips. And then a little bit more of a wider range on breaking down exactly what supplies are in here.
Yep.
And then there's another thing.
Yeah, they give you a lot of literature.
So the method that we're going to be doing today, which is called the stitch and flip method, we're going to be doing this on our long arm. However, you have the instructions here to then do it on your sewing machine as well.
Yeah, exactly.
All these amazing things. And then last but not least, instructions on how to properly bind a Cuddle quilt, because it has a little bit of a stretch to it and it's a little thicker.
This is really like an all-in-one project.
Oh yeah, complete.
Like they give you everything
kit.
you need to go.
Literally everything you
on
need.
These first two, and then all you need on the other one is just the backing, because it gives you like everything you need. I love that.
What's even better is they even provide you a little tag that you can sew in with the binding that says "Made with Love," and it talks about the care instructions as well.
That's awesome.
I love it. It's the best thing. It is the absolute best thing. So we are not going to be doing any actual cutting of these. We want to show you how fast it can go together just by using what they give you.
Exactly.
Automatically.
Yep.
And we're going to hop back to the long arm and we're going to show you how to sew it together.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm back here at the machine and I have already loaded on the backing a few notes that we always recommend. When you are loading Cuddle as a backing, make sure you are loading it with the non-stretch side going vertical. So the way you'll know is if you take this fabric and you try to tug on it on the Cuddle, if it's not moving, that's going to be that non-stretch side, and you want that going top and bottom. That way you don't overstretch it when you've got it loaded on your machine. The next thing that you want to have is some Thermore batting. Batting isn't included in the kit, but we love, love, love Thermore for this. It's a very thin polyester. It's available on our website, lindas.com, and it has a little toothy grit to it, which allows it to hold on to this Cuddle really, really nice. But since Minky is already so heavy, having a nice thin layer of batting doesn't add any additional weight to it.
It kind of helps stabilize it too,
yes.
Like as it's quilting, so it's nice to have that in there for sure.
Totally, yeah. Two more other things that I would always recommend, or three more other things I would always recommend. You definitely want to have a base plate on when you are doing this on your machine, on your long arm machine. It just has a nice flat surface to work with. If you have a cup or spoon foot available for your machine, it's nice to have that on there, especially with some of these thicker fabrics. And then last but not least, you want a nice strong thread to have this on. So I'm going to start off with this tan layer, because since we are deciding to kind of go against the pattern, we just want to use the strips the way they come, because we are not cutting things up here. What we're going to do is just start with this one right up top. And these are going to go literally side to side on the backing. You won't see much of a shortage there. It's literally going to go maybe over your backing because it has the selvage on it still. Nothing wrong with that. Perfectly okay. I'm going to go ahead and stitch down my first section. If you have a channel lock on your machine, I highly recommend you turning it on so you make sure you have nice straight seams for this. So I'll turn mine on and I'm going to go ahead and start stitching. You can do a basting stitch or you can do a regular straight stitch like I'm doing, completely up to you. Keeping this nice and straight. Just like that. Gonna flatten this down.
And I think another thing you can do when you're adding the pieces, especially on the bigger ones, if you wanted to put some pins in there just to hold it in place for you.
Yeah.
Especially on those larger strips, you know, you're definitely welcome to do that.
Totally. Whatever works best for you. All right, so we're gonna grab our next piece and I'm gonna do the sheep on this one. If you're doing anything that's patterned, make sure you check and see if it's a directional pattern or a non-directional. So these sheep are both forwards, backwards, upside down, so they're gonna be non-directional, so it doesn't matter how I load this. But some fabrics, as you know, can be directional, and you wanna make sure they're pointing that right direction. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip this, we're gonna do pretty side down, right on top of what we've just sewn. Put that right on top of there, just like that. Now, normally you're gonna see people use a 1/4 inch seam allowance for piecing things together. When you do Cuddle, they recommend a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So definitely keep that in mind. And I'm gonna go ahead and place some pins in here just to help with shifting. Because that Minky is so soft, it easily shifts just like that when I was putting in that pin. So you really wanna watch out for that. So we can pin that up. Oh, set our pins down to the side. Grab our machine again. Bring it right over. And we have that 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to take my ruler. I love my 4x8 ruler that we have available on our website as well. And I'm going to do my 1/2 inch allowance right on this. So I'm going to set my ruler on. And I'm going to come to my marking that I need. I'll turn on my horizontal lock when I'm right there at that mark that I need. And then I'll pull up my threads. Do a quick tie, and then we're off. Be careful if you do have pins that you're not going over those pins. If you get close to them, make sure you pull them out. All the way off to the end there, and I even run off the edge sometimes. Pull out that last pin, make sure we move them, and if we flip this over, you can see just like that, we've already put on that first piece. We'll lay this nice and flat, just like that. And then we're going to grab our next piece. And Mom, what is our next piece?
The fluffy one.
Ooh, the fluffy one. All right. So same concept. Lay this one down. Now this has that height to it. You see how poofy that is? So this is definitely where that cup or spoon foot comes in handy. We're going to line up those bottom edges right there. Grab your pins. This is a big one for pins. For this, I'm going to go ahead and put the pins a little higher for this one, just to give you multiple options so you don't have to take the pins out while you're stitching, so you can just focus on keeping it nice and flat and straight. Completely up to you. If you want to take them out while you go, cool. If you want to put them up a little higher so it just keeps it stabilized, especially with this one being a little bit more fluffy, having that stabilization the whole way through might be a little bit more helpful for you. Just like that. All right, so we'll put our machine back over. I'm gonna grab my ruler to make sure I get my right allowance. Set this down. Now, since this is so fluffy, I might give myself a little bit more than a 1/2 inch on this one, but whatever you do on one, make sure you're gonna keep that consistent throughout. 1/2 inch is still good. I'll keep that. All right, so we're gonna pull up our thread. And begin our stitching process. Now I'm going to have my hands on both sides of the foot for this because it's so fluffy, just to keep it nice and flat. You can see how it starts to get away from you sometimes. So have, no problem just taking your time with it. It's all good. Creating this L with my hand even to hold it both sides, and then I'll use my right hand to pull the machine. Just like that. Comes together so nice and so quick. Woohoo! Just like that. So we'll pull up our threads, we'll trim, pull out our pins since these were a little higher. Flip that down, and there's our next piece.
Looking good.
Oh, it looks so cute.
I love how it's quilting as you go. So when you're done with this process, then it's just binding time. And you're
Exactly,
done, right?
You're done. You're good to go at that point. All right, next piece is going to be the sheep. Lay those on. Now this one can get a little bit confusing because of that fluff. If you want to push back that fluff a little bit so you can actually see where the end is, that is important on this section. So pull this down, keep this nice and flat. Lay those sheep on. Make sure we're staying right there at the end. This is a big one for pins. So we will pin. All the way through. Bring our our machine back over. Grab our ruler to get our seam measurement. Lock in our horizontal lock. Pull up our bobbin thread and repeat the process. Again, since you have a little bit of a fluffier one, make sure you're holding that nice and steady so you keep everything nice and straight. Don't let any of this puckering bother you. That's just coming from that fur underneath. Push up. Don't worry about that. Don't let it bother you. All the way through. You'll trim your bobbin thread, and then all you're going to do is keep repeating this process all the way through. So fast how it comes together. So one thing to note, if you are doing these just the full strips that they give you, just like we're doing, because we didn't slice them and then it's taking into account a different seam allowance at that point, making it even smaller strips, because we're keeping with these full sizes, for this size, we're only going to be doing 5 strips. It's going to be a beige, a sheep, a fluff, a sheep, and a beige to end out properly with the size backing that we have. If you follow their pattern and cut it all up the way they have it, then you're going to be using all of your fabric at that point. But we like to do things differently here. So we are going to take that beige, lay it right here, making sure we're keeping our edges aligned. Just like that. And because these are a little bit thinner and I'm a rebel, I'm going to do it without pinning. Woohoo! I will make sure I have the right seam allowance though. So I'll grab my ruler, come down to my right allowance that I need, just like that. Make sure I lock in my horizontal lock, and I will come over and pull up my bobbin thread and start stitching. Just like that. So last but not least, I will trim bobbin. I will flip the, look how cute this looks. I'll roll up and I'm going to go ahead and stitch that bottom line. Now that we have that rolled up, we're going to take our machine. And some pins would come in handy on this one because you want this to be nice and flat and you don't want any extra poof in here. But if I let go of this, it's going to swing back up. So I'm just going to hold this and put a pin in, and then I'll grab my next pin and do the same thing. Might put these a little bit higher. Just to hold that nice and flat. Not necessary, but very helpful. And this one will be right there on the edge. You're not adding in any extra seam allowance here. And then you're going to stitch across the bottom. Just like that. So we're going to trim this out, take off our pins, and then we'll head back up front and you get to see the final project when we hold it up. And here it is.
So cute.
That
so
full
cute.
project, super duper fast, and it came together like that.
It did. It really did.
And again, we swapped it a little bit how it's done from their pattern traditionally, so we didn't use all of our pieces. But then, of course, we can always add that to our stash and use it again later.
Or you just follow the pattern and you use all the pieces.
And then you get to use all the pieces.
Or you can change it up to however you want. That's what's nice about it.
You see fit. Exactly. So this one has, looking at the back, we always get the question, what does the back actually look like? So it's just going to be that straight line stitching. Super duper quick. And again, you don't have to do this on a long arm. You can do it on your sewing machine.
Yeah.
You just have to be a little careful with how poofy this stuff is. So
Yeah.
that's definitely when pins come in handy.
Exactly.
A walking foot is very
Yeah.
important when you're doing it on your sewing machine.
I just love this. This is so cute for that newborn, right? I can see a little newborn laying on it right now, and they're taking their little pictures, or laying over, a car seat. It's just so cute.
Definitely.
Anyway.
Alrighty, well, thank you all so much for joining us. Again, Cuddle Kits and all the stuff that we use today can be found on our website, lindas.com. We'll see you next time here at After Hours. Bye.
Bye.